Okay, let's continue on with the masculine and feminine healing cycle by talking about stage 2 of this process. If you haven't seen stage 1, the first stage is the triggering stage. Okay, go back and watch that video. It's part 1 of this series. This video is going to cover the second stage of the healing process, which is the awareness and identification stage of the triggering. So the second stage of this healing process that happens between the masculine and the feminine energy as they are attempting to heal and cohere together is the identification and awareness stage of the triggering. There are two main important things that happen in this stage, and it's in the name. The first important aspect of this phase is the recognition that you're actually being triggered. This is probably the biggest disadvantage that people that are not participating in a masculine feminine dance, which we will call the rapid energy healing cycle. The disadvantage of being single or being alone or not healing with someone else is the fact that sometimes you can bypass the fact that you were actually triggered about a particular thing. Or you may not recognize that you have actually become triggered. You're so used to responding in your emotions that you don't even realize that the way that you're behaving, the way that you're responding, the way that you're reacting is actually out of pain, and it's out of being triggered into responding from that pain. And I just want to point out again that this is one of the main reasons why the rapid energy healing cycle between the masculine and feminine is so important. It's because you have a second set of eyes and another witness to the way that you are showing up in your reality. You can't heal. I might say this a couple times throughout this series. You cannot heal without knowing exactly what it is that needs to be healed. And the only way to know exactly what it is that needs to be healed is to be triggered. And the only way to heal the trigger is to realize that you have been triggered. Anything standing in the way of the actual recognition of being triggered, to include pride and ego. So if you are completely convinced that there's nothing wrong with you, but you're showing up in a way that may signify that you have some emotional sensitivity, or you're showing up in a way that reflects that your emotional state is a little imbalanced, right? If you allow it, your pride and ego will get in the way and make you believe that this is the way that you are. Like, this is your personality, this is how you are. When in all actuality, you're exhibiting toxic patterns that need to be addressed. When you have a partner who can point things out to you, if you have too much pride and ego, even if they point this out to you, you will allow that to stand in the way of actually taking action to heal this thing. This is also why having a partner who allows you to fully express yourself and who can hold space for you and mitigate any embarrassment, shame, or guilt that you may be feeling in order to heal this particular thing is so important. Now, let's talk about the second half of this stage, which is the identification part of stage 2 of this healing process. So the first part has to happen. You have to at least recognize that you're triggered. Then, after you recognize that you were triggered, you can identify, one, how you feel, right? Like, oh, I got triggered. How am I feeling? How do I know that I am triggered? So you have to identify that. So how do you know that you're triggered? Okay. As mentioned in the first phase, there's some type of discomfort that you experience, whether it's a sensitive emotional state where you are reacting emotionally, whether it's sadness, anger, frustration, whatever. Also, you can realize that you are triggered through your bodily responses to a particular experience or situation that you may be currently in. This could look like physical tension, like you all of a sudden you tense up a little bit. This can look like anxiety. This can look like exhaustion. Yeah, being exhausted with something in particular. This can show that you are expending too much energy on a particular thing. You lack the patience to see that thing through, or you lack the energy that's necessary in order to follow through with whatever is happening in that particular situation. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're talking with your person and then your person brings up a particular topic. You immediately start to feel drained and tired as they start talking about this particular topic. Now, this could be because you've went over this topic an enormous amount of times and you know that there's no end to this, or it could be because you're just not really fully ready to confront that particular subject in the moment. These are just a couple examples in which exhaustion is demonstrated as you are being triggered. Once you recognize that you are triggered and you understand how it is that you're feeling, which is why you know you're triggered, then you can identify what it was that actually triggered you in the first place. Now, identifying what triggered you sometimes is not as easy as you think it is. This is where careful consideration and thought comes into play. An example in which it may be a little difficult to pinpoint exactly what the trigger is can look something like this. Let's say you're talking to your person and your person brings up the opposite sex. And your person is telling you how they created some new thing and the person of the opposite sex was there assisting them create this new thing. Immediately, as you hear that this person is of the opposite sex and you're hearing about the story about this thing that they created that's so awesome, that's got your partner all excited and telling you about it, you start to tense up a little bit and you identified that you feel a little jealous. So you recognize and became aware that you were triggered. Then, after you realized that you were triggered, you realized that the emotion that you were feeling was jealousy. Now the question becomes, why do you feel jealous? Do you feel jealous because they mentioned the opposite sex? Or is it something else completely different? One underlying reason as to why you might be triggered may be about the quality time that this person seems to be having with another person. So it's not necessarily that this person is of the opposite sex. It's the fact that this person of the opposite sex is getting quality time with your person that you feel like you aren't getting. So whereas on the surface level, it may appear that the trigger is due to the fact that this person is hanging out with the opposite sex, it's actually the fact that this person is getting something that you feel like you should be getting. As I'm wrapping this up, I want to point out to you the fact that this stage is merely about, it's about reflection. It's about awareness. So don't focus on making any actions in this stage of the healing process. Your main focus should be on how you feel and allowing yourself to feel the way you feel without judgment so that you can fully flush out exactly the way that you feel. And then you will be able to identify what the trigger actually is. With that said, the signs that you have effectively gone through this step or this process, in this stage of the process, is your ability to come to an understanding of how you feel and what made you feel that way. Okay, so if you have any questions, make sure you drop them below. Make sure, again, that you watch the first video and stay tuned for the next one. If you want to start your journey with me to energy healing and frequency alignment, please make sure that you visit www.GodstyleBilal.com in order to get the resources to help you along your journey. And while you're there, if you've gotten any value from this video, please don't hesitate to leave a gift or a tip. Like this video, share it with someone you know needs to hear this information, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you can get notified the next time I upload a video. I'm GodstyleBilal, and I will catch you in the next one.